everyone. This is Steve Marinucci, freelance writer for Billboard.com, Access.com, Variety.com, and Goldmine, and welcoming you to another Things We Said Today, where we talk about anything and everything about the Beatles, past, present, and looking into the crystal ball to come. Let me first introduce my two co-hosts. First, from the great state of Maine, the author of The Beatles from the Cavern to the Rooftop, and Got That Something, How the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Changed Everything. The former master of the Beatles desk at the New York Times, Mr. Alan Cozen. Hello, Alan.
Hey, Steve. Hello, everyone.
And the host of the syndicated show Every Little Thing from the great state of Connecticut, where it'll probably snow any day now. I don't know. Mr.
Don't
Ken
bring me bad luck. Don't bring me bad luck.
Mr. Ken Michaels. Hello, Ken.
Hi, Steve. Hi, everybody.
Hello, and Ken. We have a very, very special guest today, Mr. Joey Molland of Badfinger. I talked to Joey last week for an interview that's on Access, but Joey's out on tour and doing the full Straight Up album with Badfinger. Welcome, Joey.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hey. It's good to have you here, sir. Very good to have you here. First of all, let's talk about the show. I mean, you're out on you're touring the East Coast. Where are you going to be? And this is like going through this month, and I believe it's next month, or is it just this month? I can't remember now.
It's just this month.
Okay.
I've got some acoustic shows next month, I think, but this month we're going to Providence area, I suppose, Rhode Island, playing a place called the Odeon on Thursday night this week.
There's an Odeon in this country? I didn't know there was an Odeon in America.
It's Odeon with an M for
okay. Okay.
And it's supposed to be a beautiful place. Really looking forward to it. I haven't been out to Rhode Island for a while, and it'd be nice to get back there and play. Although it'd be nice to come in the summer and play the beaches as well. And then we're going to Newton, New Jersey. Do the show there. We're doing what it is we do the entire Straight Up album, and then of course we that runs about 45 minutes or so, maybe a bit longer, depending on the storytelling and stuff. Tell a few stories about it, and it seems to be going really well. The audience seems to really enjoy it, and the concept and the whole idea of doing the entire record, although it's a bit strange to us as a band or to me as a performer, it seems to be going really well, and we're getting good audiences, good attendance. Even the promoters seem really happy with the show. And that's what that is. We're going to Atlanta, Chicago. We're going down to Nashville with it. I think we're going back to New York. Mm-hmm. Just doing it all over the place, really, anywhere they'll book us. We just played out in LA and played, McCabe's guitar shop out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just played there. So we're doing all sorts of gigs, and it's a lot of fun.
Are you doing the album in order?
Yeah. Yeah, just like it is. I even make the crackles and the squeaks, we try not to skip, on a crack. But sometimes even that happens, Like when we're doing Perfection, I sing Perfection, and the words are a bit samey, so you never know whether you're in the first or second verse. It's kind of weird, but so you might get a crack and a hop, skip and a jump there, and I might play the guitar a little bit, but it's really fun and it's really good. We don't screw around with the songs other than that one.
Mm-hmm. Why did you choose Straight Up of the various albums that you were on with Badfinger?
It's just a hugely popular Badfinger album in our part of the world. It's the best-selling album that we had, although a lot of people don't think it was our best work. But it's a great little record. Pete had some great songs. He was really at his height then, really. Tommy's got a couple of tunes on there. It's funny, it's the only song on the Mike doesn't have a song on. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because somebody outside the band picked the songs we were going to do, but I don't know. But it's a very popular album, and it's 45 years this year, 45 years ago that it was released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Ken, why don't you start with the questions?
Well, Joey, when the band started recording Straight Up, Jeff Emmerich was actually the producer, and
he wasn't. You know what? I don't know where that comes from because it's just not true.
That's what it says on. That's what I've been reading.
It's rubbish. I don't know who said that. I'll tell you what happened, and I tell this at the shows, just so people know. And I've got no reason to make this up, man. The fact is, we went back to England, and Tommy and Pete wanted to produce the record. They were feeling their oats as producers. And so Mike and I, of course, went along with that. And we went out to Richard Branson's place, the Manor. And we recorded, and Tommy and Pete produced 15 or 18 songs. And it was going to be a collection of those songs, and those takes and those mixes was going to be the new Straight Up album. Now, when we gave it to Apple didn't think it was good enough. They didn't think it sounded good enough. I don't know what they thought of the songs, really. We used some of the songs on the Straight Up record, but, you know, that's just what happened. We didn't do any sessions with Jeff Emmerich for that album. No sessions at all. Now, we might have taken the tapes somewhere along the way and produced them, but as far as I know, he was never involved in the production of it. George came in and started producing us simply because Apple were dissatisfied with the job that we'd done on our own. And that's fair enough. They're the record company. They know what they want, you know. We still liked a lot of the Straight Up album that we did. We thought it was more authentic. It was more Badfinger. You know, it was more like No Dice. It was a bit progressive compared to that, but it was more like No Dice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wasn't Jeff Emmerich involved with No Dice?
Jeff Emmerich was, he was the engineer, and Mal Evans was the producer.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe the confusion is because maybe just the progression going from No Dice into Straight Up. Maybe that's why sometimes it's written that Jeff Emmerich was involved.
You know, if you go back and look at the record, and it's really easy. At the Manor, there wasn't any Jeff Emmerich. There were two other guys.
Okay.
Doing the engineering. There were two other engineers involved. And sorry, it's sad for me. I can't remember their names, and I should. But really, Tommy and Pete were really involved in the production of it, you know, and working on the sounds and all that stuff. So, but that's really where we did it. All the wives went up with us. You know, Marianne was with us. Gaynor went up with us because it was only couple hours out of London to Oxford, you know what I mean? Wasn't that far? I remember the girls driving down to George's house, actually, during the production. I can't remember how that happened, but I think maybe May Pang came over for a minute or something. But anyway, I remember them going down during the visit. I remember going to the pub and having a drink to do He's a Regular, you know, which is a pub song. So anyway, next question, please.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Mal Evans, because years ago you told me that you loved the way that he produced Badfinger.
Well, I did. We all did, because he just recorded us. You know what you hear on the No Dice record? That's actually what our band sounded like. He gave us the freedom to learn the songs. He gave us the freedom to arrange the songs. Made a few suggestions here and there, but he wasn't that kind of producer. He would tell us what he liked about different things, you know, maracas or whatever, and back and vocal bits. But mainly he was involved with, he'd come down in the studio, and Jeff would do the same thing. Come down, Jeff would crawl around on the floor, look at the sound, you know, because that's where sound lives. Right. You know, it's on the floor with the dust bunnies and all that. And you have to move the mic around according to your ear, you know? Mm-hmm. The only way you can do that is by getting on the floor and being there. So that's how they produced it. They let us set up in a line like a band, you know? Put the screens up, had vocal mics, and that's how we did it. It was a knockout. The album came out, got great reviews, and of course, No Matter What was on it, and Without You, you know, a couple of great songs. Bloodwind was on it. Now, I don't know if one of these other producers would let us do Bloodwind, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It was a bit outside, you know, that song. But listen to the sound of the 12-string guitar and the piano on Midnight Caller and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the beauty of the band, you know what I mean? That's what we sounded like on stage and everything. So And it was so exciting to be in Abbey Road, I got to tell you that, in the big studio. You know, we've seen countless films of the lads recording, the Beatles, of course, recording there and doing things. It was great. And we did a few sessions with George there on the next one, of course. But it was a great time with us, and God bless Mal. It was lovely. Man.
When George Harrison got involved with Straight Up, what changes did he make to the original recordings?
Vast changes, really. You know, it's a really well produced album. It was produced as good as like Abbey Road. You know, I'm not saying it was as good an album as Abbey Road. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the sound on it certainly was. You know, when you hear Day After Day nowadays, it sounds as good as anything that was put on record then. Stuff like Name of the Game, even, you know, Suitcase had a little bit of a jingle to it. You know, so I thought it was a really good sounding record. And I've got to give Todd Rundgren his kudos, you know, he's the guy who actually put the entire record together, you know. Mm-hmm. George did the production work on about 5 of the tracks, I think. 5 or 6, can't remember now, but it was Todd who actually put it all together and bought the sounds out, the drums, the Baby Blue drum track, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know, that was completely Todd's stuff. Just great, great work all round. The songs were good. The band was really in good spirits and good shape, even though Rundgren was laying on us like a big lead weight. You know, telling us he was telling us we were crap, telling us we couldn't play, and of course we could play. So that's all right.
He didn't think you were good musicians?
No, he didn't think so at all, man. I don't know why. Maybe because we couldn't play the drum beat from the weight, you know, something like that. Mm. You know, there's a story, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have heard earlier versions of the songs on Straight Up, like a song like Name of the Game, which to me was much more acoustic guitar. And then
it was much more rhythmic. It was much more rhythmic, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. You know, Al Cooper did. People think that George Martin did the arrangements on that, but Al Cooper did the horns and all that stuff. Maybe some of the string work. We did it at Bell Studios in New York. Mm. Yeah, I've got the tapes here, man. Mm. If anybody wants to argue about that, I've got the tapes right here. You know, the two-track stereo mixes. I mean, not the masters. I don't know what happened to them, but yeah, we went over to New York to do a bit of work on it. You know, there must have been a bit of. That makes me think of, like, why would they send us to New York if they didn't like it, really, you know? Mm-hmm. Understand that, but who knows? Who knows, man?
Yeah. The idea to change Name of the Game that way, was that mainly George Harrison's idea, or what?
Oh, I believe it was, yeah. And it was a beautiful thing. It was lovely what he did. Mm-hmm. I can't argue with it. It was just a completely different way of doing it, the way we felt about it. It was carried from that rhythm, that jigga 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 like that, you know, that acoustic rhythm that Pete played, and we just strengthened that behind it, you know. Remember the bass line?
Right.
It just was nice and rhythmic and all that. Yeah, great tune. Yeah.
I just love hearing both versions. They both have their own character to them.
Sure, they do. True.
Yeah. I don't want to hog the spotlight here, so you guys, if you want to ask questions.
Okay. Well, I was just going to chime in and say I ran, while you were talking there, Ken, I ran into the other room and got my I have the DCC version of Straight Up, which sounds absolutely marvelous, and I guess you have to give Steve Hoffman a big kudos on that. The sound is really clean on that thing. Unfortunately, it's out of print, but it's a great version. Great, and it has 6 bonus tracks from the original version that were done by. It says they were engineered here by Jeff Emmerich. They were produced, so that may be where the confusion is, Joey.
Are you talking about things like "Sing for the Song"?
No. This is the DCC version of Straight Up that has the 12 cuts on the album, and then it has 6 bonus tracks. It says original version, Money, Flying, Name of the Game, Suitcase, Perfection, and Baby Blue. And as I recall, they're a little more acoustic This was released years ago. I think it's out of print now. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. But it's a very nice version. When we were talking, you were telling me how George was to work with in the studio. How was he as a producer? How was he to work with?
He was very easy to work with. He didn't make us privy to his ideas and where his ideas came from or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But he definitely had a plan from the get-go, and he was very mellow in the way he presented it to us, like doing Day After Day, or doing those acoustic tracks and keeping it straight, doing the background vocals behind, all together around one microphone, the way they'd done it themselves, the Beatles I'm talking about, and balancing ourselves in there, getting the mix of the vocals ourselves. And even when we were doing the double track of those same vocals, and their long, long breaths, we all smoked, ciggies, we all smoked cigarettes, so we'd all run out of breath, you know what I mean? But so we'd have to do it again. He wouldn't let us have breaks in the vocal. It was ooh, all that bit, and long lines. So he was like that. He was very mellow with it. He would bring his own guitar in, plug in with us when we were running the basic tracks, and work the tracks with us, and come up with ideas himself. He and I sitting and playing acoustic on I'd Die Babe, doing an offbeat acoustic. There was really an electric part, but we played the acoustic. I remember he made a mistake during one of the takes, and I kind of laughed about it, because it was a bit weird doing an offbeat acoustic track. And but he did. That was one thing I noticed. He didn't really like you laughing at him, man.
Do those tapes still exist, Joey?
I'm not sure. I don't know what they did with them. The 2-inch tape I knew was expensive, so they went about just erasing things. We actually recorded songs. I recorded a song. I wrote it in the studio. It was called "Give Me What I Want," and you say you'll give me love and understanding, and all this, and then you're staying out all night and all this. And I don't mean to be demanding, but I've got the right, give me what I want, So anyway, we did this little song and we recorded the whole thing. The band all joined in and we did it, and they erased it. I couldn't believe that they erased it, even if it was never released. I wanted it, Yeah. So they went, they do what they liked, you know what I mean? So I don't know whether there are other takes or whether there are tapes, whether these tapes still exist. I don't know.
Do you have the rights to the material? In other words, you were talking about it being the 45th anniversary. Could you put together a 45th anniversary with some of the demos that you have and other outtakes and things that may still exist beyond the ones?
So, I've certainly got my own demos that I did in the house on my Revox, so I could probably do something like that, but I don't know about what other tapes exist. I've never been privy. I've never been in the studio and been allowed to listen to all of those tapes.
Right. So when Apple put out their remasters in 2010 and they added a bunch of bonus tracks and early versions of things and different mixes, where did they get those? I mean, they must have something beyond just the
they must have it in their own library. I'm sure. I don't know where that library is, and I don't know what it consists of, but they must have had them somewhere. I know, Dan Matavina, the biographer guy, did he have something to do with those remixes or something? Again, I wasn't involved. I was never asked to be involved. And if I sound pissed about that, then I kind of am now. But there were weird things going on at the time, and it didn't surprise me one bit, Yeah. And it kept on. It was okay. I wasn't bothered about it, anything really. I didn't necessarily think it sounded better or anything, but that wasn't for me to say, and it never was. We were never involved in what was going to be the single or what was going to be the B-side, or they were really never our decisions. It was always made by by the record company people, whether we were with Apple or whether we were with Warner's or any other record company. It was always that way.
It's kind of a strange thing, seeing as when they formed Apple, they said that their philosophy was that people could come to them and not be, told what to do like in a corporate record company. But what you're describing sounds a lot like a corporate record company. Not to mention the chaos.
Essentially, we saw the Beatles at Apple, and I tell that story about seeing George down there, and he would talk a bit. But Apple was a lot like every other office that you've ever been in. Derek was really nice. Richard DeLello was great. Neil was lovely, and a couple of the secretaries, Deidre Meehan, was great. But there were a lot of people that worked there. I never saw Peter Asher at Apple. Never. And he might well have gone, I guess, by the time I came. I came in 1969, so who knows who was still there. But, it wasn't all fun and games at Apple. It wasn't all party on, dude,
No.
Maybe after 5 o'clock it got a little bit of that. And then we certainly had a couple of parties in the basement around Christmas time. Mm-hmm. And that was always a fun time at Apple. But, we were allowed, on the other end of it, we were allowed, and only a band would allow another band to do this. We were allowed to go in Abbey Road studio all day, Mm-hmm. I mean, all day. And we wouldn't have songs ready. We'd have ideas for songs. They really allowed us that kind of freedom to record. And the other beautiful thing they did was they never recouped the recording costs. Did you know that?
Wow.
Well, never recouped the recording costs from people.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
That is a big... Oh. You know as well as I do, at every other label in the world, we'd get like a 5% royalty. The label would keep 95%. Mm-hmm. And out of our 5%, we'd pay the recording costs, the production costs, even the cover art, the photographs. Mm-hmm. It was all came out of the band's money. The band's 5%. Yeah, so imagine how many records we had to sell to get into making money.
Right.
That's the way it was.
So it sounds like, when you read this sort of Badfinger story, you imagine, at first that for a group like you, or when you were the Ivies at the time, it must have been a great thing to be signed by the Beatles label, but then it was so chaotic at Apple, and then Alan Klein coming along and making it even more chaotic. It must have been harder to work with than you would have, I guess, imagined when you first got the news that you were going to be signed to them, right?
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know what it was like.
You came in '69, so you were after the first album?
They signed it in '68, but it was weird. We met Klein. We went and met him in his office in the corner at Apple Corps in New York City on Broadway there. Right. And it wasn't a pleasant experience. It wasn't. We were, the suits. You know what I mean by the suits?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
The suits who ran the world in those days, they still really run it now. There's no difference. Look, Ron Griffith, he's the bass player in the band in the Ivies, and a great bass player, a great singer too, and a great songwriter for that kind of music. He's not a rock and roll songwriter, but he's a great songwriter. But anyway, he does an interview and he says he's not happy. He doesn't think it's done him any good being with the Beatles. 3 weeks later, he's out of the band. He's gone. And the story is, he left the band. Now I don't know what happened there, but that, it's, come on. You know what I mean? You don't leave a band when you've just recorded the Paul McCartney song and it's going to be your next single.
Right.
You don't leave, do you? Come on. Come on. You'd have to be like poking yourself in the eye for crying out loud. I think they'll set fire to your own nose. It's, it stinks, all that.
Yeah.
Think of all the musicians in the world that would give anything to have that opportunity.
I should paint this picture that it's all rosy and everything, but this was I don't know the ins and outs of all that stuff really to talk about it, but it's just one thing nobody ever brings up.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever brings it up. They record the song, it sounds great, it's going to be a hit record, Why would you leave the band?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So God, I left the band in 1974 because there was some serious disagreements going on. We had crooks managers managing us and stealing all our money. And there were guys in the band who wanted to stay with the crooks. You know?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? Why would you want to do that?
Right.
I'll tell you why, man.
Well, that leads to something I was going to ask you, Joey. Is a lot of people have written about the band, but has the in your estimation, in your opinion, has the real story of the band ever been told?
I suppose it's never been told by one of the band.
Okay.
I've got Mike's interviews that he did for the what's his name? Did a documentary, a video. What's it called? No, it's just called Badfinger, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the guy's name. Gary. I can't remember. Anyway, he did a story where he interviewed Kathy and Mike and myself, and he took the story from that. I think all these other books that have been written about us, they're all based on third-party ideas of what the band was thinking. And nobody ever knows what a band's thinking. I don't care who you are. If you're not in the band, you don't know what's going on in the band. You really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the story's been told. I've never read any of the books. I've read little bits of them. And it's very difficult to read about what other people think about yourself, what people thought about songs and what this song was about. Who knows what songs are about?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Nobody knows. It's all in your imagination. And I don't care if you knock around with him all day. You still don't know him. You still don't know what he's really thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not going to tell you. So he
Right.
probably can't tell you what he's really thinking. Because it's really involved, isn't it, being in a band? You're with your best mates, and you trust them intrinsically. And you trust them in all different ways. What kind of van to get? What kind of amps we need? What kind of mics are the best? All of that stuff. Well, it goes a lot further than, I don't know, managers and all that stuff. Managers are great, and some of them are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Some of them are complete waste of time. They don't know what to do with a band. They've got no idea about what it is to be in a band, and they've got no idea how to keep a band together,
Mm-hmm.
They've got no idea how to let a band be. They've only got ways to make money out of the band, and a lot of them don't even have that. Really, really waste of time. We had a great time playing our tours and our shows, playing in the band, going in the studio, not believing that we were in the studio, and recording, singing and stuff like that. We had Pete Am and Tommy Evans, who could sing, as good as anybody, and Mike and I, we could sing a little bit. And, we had good players. I'd worked hard and learning me Buddy Holly stuff and me Chuck Berry and all of that. I was no Scotty Moore, but I knew what I was doing. We had the same roots. That's why they had us play on the Beatles records. On the John Lennon record or on the George Harrison stuff, because we came from the same place as those guys did. Mm-hmm. We'd sat around in the front parlour with our guitar, listening to Radio Luxembourg. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We'd played for years without thinking we could play. So we kept on working and working and working. We didn't walk around thinking we were great like certain other guys did. Guys who don't know what a diminished chord is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's all so long ago as well, isn't it? I'm telling you now that we had a great time for about 1970 through like 1973. The band was on. Mm-hmm. The band was on, and we developed our own style. I know we had all the same influences as all the other bands in the world. We had all the same influences as the Beatles and the Beatles as well. Mm-hmm. We were finding out about B.B. King. We were hearing guys like Leslie West and the band, but we also had our Little Richard and our Chuck Berry and all of that stuff. And we were incorporating all of those things into the music. If you listen to our music, you can hear it all in there, you know. But, I mean, who could ever tell you that you know a drummer that was like Mike Gibbons? Because you don't, you know. The guy had a remarkable thing going just for himself. Pete was one of the greatest slide guitar players on the planet. And I mean, bar none. And it's on record for people who hear, you know? Astounding guitar player. And I'm not talking about do. You know, anybody could do that in 6.5 hours, you know? But you do a jam like the end of Island or something like that. You can hear the guy playing the guitar then. You know what I mean? Jumping all over it and just fantastic. And he could do that on stage. And he could do it on the same guitar that he played regular guitar with. You know, there wasn't a special guitar adjusted, you know, to play slide. He could do it. He could do it. And we could all play the piano to a certain degree. And that's why the piano on our records is very simple and kind of guitar player-like, you know.
So when you say that he played on the same guitar as slide on the same guitar as he used for regular guitar, did he also use the same tuning, or did he retune it for slide?
He retuned the E string down to D, the first.
Okay.
That would give you major chords. That would give you major chords on it,
right?
And it would also give you the ability to play sevenths in the blues frame. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Joey, how does your Warner Brothers output compare to the Apple in your estimation?
Yeah, I think it was every bit as good. I was a little bit worried about when we were doing the first Warner album. You know, a couple of the songs were deliberate kind of attempts at singles, and we'd never done that before. You know, Baby Blue wasn't written as a single. It was just written as a song. Same with Day After Day. Same with all the songs on that record. But, you know, and I've got to say this, Tommy Evans desperately wanted all his career to write a hit single. He was made up when Maybe Tomorrow came out, and it was a big disappointment to him when it wasn't a big giant hit. I mean, very disappointing to him. And so he would spend his time, besides writing the great songs that he wrote, you know, songs from like It's Over, which is just a little song, but it says so much, to, you know, Lost Inside Your Love later on, which is absolutely brilliant, you know, and relates back into his, you know, into the early days playing. You know, so the band wrote songs, and we brought them, and we played and recorded the ones we liked. That was generally what it was. Straight Up, not so much. But George, and I will say this about George, he arranged the songs to be singles, you know? He arranged Day After Day to be a single. He arranged Suitcase to be a single. He arranged Die Babe to be a single. So, you know, when we got to the first Warner album, there was a little bit of that conscious effort. Shine On was a conscious effort to write a single. What's the other one, which is blatantly singlish? I can't believe it. I remember Tommy and Pete coming in the room, in my little room in Park Avenue, and asking me, have you got an idea for this, you know? And what song was it now? And what I did was I took the chorus of 8 Days a Week, and I put it in the song. I thought it was great work, great. That's the one it was. And if you listen to it, I think I don't know what record that's on actually, but there were certain blatant ideas that were coming out, like, right, let's write a single, you know. And I don't know, you write a single? I've got no idea how to do it. I don't know what a single is. You know, this day I don't know what a single is. You know, I've never had a hit single. I think I've had like top 60s, top 50s, and you know, I had a couple of hits when I was a boy in Japan with Gary Walker, but I don't know what a hit single is. I've got no idea.
That's funny. That's why you need people at record companies sometimes to make that decision, though they don't always make the right ones.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly right. That's why you need a great producer, like a George or a Todd,
Yeah, but definitely, you're talking about the Warner's albums. When Wish You Were Here came out, Just a Chance or No One Knows, those could have easily have been big hits to me anyway.
Was No One Knows released as a single? No?
I'm not sure.
The album was shelved, wasn't it? Before it had a chance because of the lawsuit. You know what happened? I'll tell you this. I don't know whether anybody's told this story, but I'm sitting with Ed Silver one day. He was the head of Warner Music. The head of Warner Music. I'm sitting with him, and this is after the bands broke up. And he told me that he woke up one morning with an itch about the Badfinger advances, which were supposed to be in an escrow account. And he went and had a look at that escrow account. He found out a bunch of the money wasn't there. And he called Joe Smith. Joe was a great guy, Joe Smith, a lovely man. But anyway, they both investigated it, and Wish You Were Here came out then. And it was doing really well. But they found the money was missing, and they sued us for it, the $385,000 or something. And they sued Badfinger for it because we'd signed the contract. If they could have, they would have sued the managers because they knew the managers had taken the money. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So what good was it to sue you?
Well, it wasn't. We were just talking about it because it was past tense to us. We were just talking about it. I'd never really met Ed Silver, and I was just happened to be in Warner Brothers. I don't even know what I was there for. But we started to talk about the Badfinger thing, and he told me about it,
Yeah.
And it was just an itch. And he found out. We suffered terribly for it. Led to a lot of disagreements because it really brought to light the kind of people that were running our business. The crooked accountants on Wall Street, the guy on Central Park South, the agents. I've got CDs from Becker, the promoter. He put out CDs. He started taping the phone calls from the managers that were doing the deals behind the scenes, and were never telling the bands. And they all used to work together. Oh boy. I don't know if you know about these things, but this is how it is. That's the way the show business works. It's kind of like the government. You know what I mean? If you want to go there, nobody wants to go there, though. Nobody wants to really go there about the music business because it stinks. It stinks, Just the way it's Sony TVs, Cadillacs, all of that. You know what I mean? It sucks. But playing music is the greatest way to earn a living, and they can't take that away.
Right.
They can't take that away. The only reason they bother with having musicians and bands is because we're the only ones that can play. We're the only ones that can sing. We're the only ones who can make the music up,
Yeah, they just don't want to have to pay you.
Yeah, that's right. They'd love it. They'd love it. I don't, how many musicians are out there now that were famous, super famous, and are broke. I remember when my kids were born, I'm not kidding, I had no money at all. We were on the radio all over the world. I had no money at all. I stood outside Pasadena Hospital in the poor man's line holding my baby, trying to get treatment. Yeah? Thinking my youngest baby was going to die. Maybe he wasn't, but that's what I was thinking.
Sure.
And I had no money, and I wanted to kill this guy. Because we never spent the money. We never spent the money. You could buy a really good guitar in those days for $300. We were selling out 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 seats a night, and we were doing 120 nights a year. Yeah? We were making 300,000 a record. We'd get letters from Apple saying, we sent your manager $250,000 today, or £250,000, which was, I don't know, $1 million, It would go and disappear. We weren't even allowed to buy, I don't know, you want to buy a house? There's not enough money. You want to buy a car? Oh, no, I can't do that. On the night Peter, or the day before Peter hung himself, he was told he had no money. Well, this guy wrote Without You, day after day, Baby Blue, No Matter What, you know, and all the other songs on the records. Well, I wrote a few more, actually, but he wrote all those hits, man. And you know how rich he should have been, right? No money. No money. Not some money, but no money. That's right. You better go record another album so we can get some more money. And this was a guy who lived in an attic, spent his days writing songs. He spent so much time doing it that he wrote a song about take a day off. You know what I mean?
When we talked last week, Joey, you mentioned a great story, and you reminded me of it when you mentioned Without You. When Harry Nilsson told you guys that he was doing it, would you tell that story for people who didn't see what I wrote last week? Because that was such a great story.
Sure. We were in Air Studios in London, and I'm not sure what record we were recording, but we're going doing a session this one day, and in walks Harry Nilsson. Tweed coat, you know, the Harry that we all know, and straw hair, you know. And he comes in, and he's very mellow and very, you know, hello, my name's Harry Nilsson. And wow, of course, we knew of Harry Nilsson, but we didn't really know him or anything. We never met him. And wow, Harry Nilsson, you know, you're a genius, really. And he was really sweet, you know, love it and all that stuff. He said, hey, I wonder if you'd do me a favor. We're mixing my new record down the hallway, been doing it all day. I wonder if you'd come and listen to a couple of things and tell us what you think of the sound. You know, we're not really sure if we're going too far with this or whatever. And you get that way when you record, and you listen to the song so much, you don't know if it's any good anymore, you know. You go past the good mixes, and you end up with a crap mix, you know. So, so you know, we took it all quite seriously. Well, sure we will, yeah, you know. But maybe we were just stupid. I don't know. We walked down the hallway and took us in the studio there and introduced us to Perry, Mr. Perry. I think Rupert Perry, was it, or Richard?
Richard Perry. Richard Perry.
Richard Perry, yeah. And he said, Richard, these are the Badfinger band, and I was asking them to listen to a couple of mixes. Fancy playing them something? And of course, he played us the mix for Without You. And man, it sounded awesome, fantastic, you know, really. And the vocals were incredible. And the song sounded beautiful, it really did. And you know, our manager, Bill Collins, was with us. He was our personal guy, like our personal roadie kind of guy. And he'd been telling us for years since we'd done Without You that we should do a big bombastic version like Nilsson had done. And you should have looked on his face, you know, I told you so, was so much. And of course, Harry went on and won all the awards with it. Actually won Tommy and Pete awards because it was such a great record. So that's the story of it for us. And we went back to the rooms kind of talking amongst ourselves, you know, Jesus, you know. And they're talking about feeling, you know, kind of silly, but, you know, just one of those things. But that's the story behind it. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was listening this week to some of the band on the BBC from the early 70s, and you guys were really... I mean, we've heard you on the studio sessions, but the live sessions on the BBC, they were definitely different. They were a lot more forceful. Can you talk about the difference between what you were like in the studio and what you were like live and you know, on the BBC and in concert?
Of course I can. We after we got successful, we Come and Get It, and No Matter What, we started touring. And at the same time, this was 71, wasn't it, 72? At the same time, the bands were coming out. We'd been listening to a bit of Cream and all that, of course. They've been out for a couple of years already. But the bands were coming out with these long, jammy records, Almonds, and people like that. You know, the songs were getting longer and longer and jammier and jammery. And we started to do that on stage quite naturally. We started to reach a little bit. we were getting devices, echo devices and stuff that we'd never had before to play with. Fuzz boxes and wah-wahs and even, I think synthesizers were out then and stuff. And there were guitar synthesizers or like the Mutron effects. I've still got some of them. And Pete particularly started to use them on stage. And the Echoplex was an unbelievable device. You could make the echo go on forever, or you could stop it on a dime like you stood on the brake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You could really do them. They were like mechanical devices. So it was a great time for us, and so the music naturally got like that. We started taking other people's songs, like Only You Know and I Know, and Feeling All Right, and Tommy would let his voice go, and Pete and I would start to jam. And Mike was listening to Mahavishnu now. Mike used to drive around England in this Rover 3000 car, which was the cop car of the day, super fast and super hairy. And he had a headphone put in the dashboard, right? And he wired up to his tape cassette player, and he'd play Mahavishnu Orchestra, just blasting and race around country roads in England. So this was the lifestyle we were living, and we were getting a little bit stoned and stuff, and doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We never got really excessive with the dope. We never did that, but we did do a little bit here and there, And it changes your mind. There's no doubt about that. That's one of the things that I loved about it when I was doing it. Don't do it anymore. Don't really drink anymore either, for that matter. Once in a blue, I'll maybe, I don't know, a couple of beers or something, but I'm not a real drinker anymore. I used to love it, brandy. And, it was just the way of the world at the time. The music was jammy. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's still like that. I think bands like Fish are supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. And
Sure.
I guess they're an old band now. I don't know. But you listen to the bands the past five, maybe 10 years. The songs are short and sweet. 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's back to the single. It's just back to the same old, isn't it? Really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say anything about the singers or players nowadays. They're every bit as good. I think they've got to be. I don't think there's any special in any particular age, unless you're talking about a guy like McCartney, who's a one in a billion kind of guy. Mm-hmm. There's all the rest. You know what I mean? But there are, once every few hundred years, there's a guy like that. Writes melody all day long. He gets out of bed with melody in his pocket. I don't know. He gets them on the bus. He hears the bell ring on the bus, and then he gets an idea. So. It is fantastic, man. Can you imagine if he really put his mind to it, what would happen?
Mm-hmm.
It would scare the out of everybody.
Have you had any contact with Paul or Ringo recently?
I've never met him. I've been in his dressing room, but I'm so nervous around him. I've never really been able to go up and introduce myself to him. I really do think that he's something really special. And I think we're really lucky to be alive around that.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely brilliant. The Beatle phenomenon is unbelievable in terms of music history.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there? The more the music progressed, the less he played.
Right.
How does that work?
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. But the beat was still as good. The harmonies were still as good and punchy. It was really incredible, the phenomena of it. I was astounded. Nobody else was doing that. Nobody else did it. People thought because they put a folk music on the record that they were being progressive or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's amazing what those guys did.
Yeah, it really is. So you're going to be the next couple of dates you have, or where can people get information about the tour with the date? What's your website?
On the badfingersite.com. A little bit on there. And there's some on Facebook by people who've gone to the shows. And I think the list of dates is on our website.
And I have it on my Access story as well.
You have it on your sites. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a band that I'm leading. 4 guys from the East Coast, predominantly. A guy from Boston, a couple of guys in the New York area, and I think actually, and a Frenchman playing drums. French guys, great band. So I've got these 4 young guys who are all really good singers. Or rather, the 3 of them, the drummer doesn't sing. Which, you can say what you like about, but he's a great drummer. So I've got this young band singing the songs with me, and they sing lead on things like Name of the Game, Take It All, and they lend that beautiful tenor that young men have, I'm 70 years old now, and I can still sing songs, but I tend to just sing my songs, you know what I mean? I do sing along on Baby Blue, I sing a bit on Day After Day, sing on... Successful Conversation. There is no perfection, sing a bit on that. But the guys sing It's Over, and this is going around really well, I got to tell you. People are really enjoying it. There are a lot of people out there who still really like that record. And the idea of airing it all in order, which is a bit weird. To do an album in order is a bit odd.
And you have speaking of albums, you have one in the works yourself.
Yeah, I do. I've got a stack of songs, and I gave all the demos to Mark Hudson. I did a couple of tunes with him in New York about 2 years ago now. We went in the studio just to see, and I think they turned out really well. I don't think they're the best songs that we've got, but I think they were good songs. And Hudson is so great at production. And I say that again. Hudson is so great at production that I can't wait to do it with him. He's magnificent. It's remarkable to work with the guy. The energy, the speed that he works at, the way he takes a song, gets right into it with you, pulls it apart, puts it back together, and you've got this beautiful thing. It's great. I don't know. I write songs because I get ideas, walking down the street, or get an idea about it, or something bothers me and I want to say something about it, or I'm in love and I want to say something about that. So, I write my songs, but I'm not necessarily a good arranger. I'm not necessarily, anything like that, especially to do with my own songs, because I don't walk around blowing my own trumpet. You know what I mean? These guys out there, they're geniuses, man, So I don't know. They get a bit carried away with themselves, I think. But
how soon are you looking? Because it sounds like you're just in the beginning stages on the album. Have you got a timeline as far as the release of it?
No, I haven't. Mark is always busy. Like, he's so great that the minute he finishes a project, somebody comes along with 50 grand. And, they snap him up, you know what I mean? And he's not all about money. But he's like everybody else. He likes to make a bit of money, so what the hell? So we'll get it done one day, if good Lord willing, And that's a big, important deal we forget about, too, Yeah, man.
Ken,
Can I ask
go ahead, Ken.
Just a few questions. Going back to the Straight Up album, is it true that George Martin did work on, say, the arrangement of the medley of Flying and Money?
I think he did, but I can't believe that George would do something so unmusical as speed it up, so the Flying was in the same key as Money. It didn't matter that it sounded like shit. That's what it does. It kind of ruined the segue, between the two songs. Honest to God, I sound like Mickey Mouse. And I'm dying to say, you put that and easy. It doesn't work. And you can hear that. If you're deaf, you can hear that. So I can't believe that George Martin had anything to do with that. But I think he did do something along the way somewhere, but I'm not sure what.
Did you ever get to meet George Martin?
No.
Okay.
No, I was only in the band, I only played in the band. I only sang half of the songs. I only wrote half of the music. I only played the solos on all the big hit records, But it's remarkable. I remember George coming in and day after day. I don't mean to lie about that. I was playing the slide, and there's something I just thought of the other day. We were sitting in the studio, the Studio 3, the little studio at Abbey Road. Pete and I sitting on stools with our strats, and we were working it out, do, whatever we were playing. It wasn't what they ended up playing. And George came in and he asked, would it be okay? Could he play a bit of slide? He fancied, he had an idea or something, So and I took my guitar off and said, sure, man, right away. And he took my guitar and he worked and he played it on day after day. And then I played the same guitar for about a year. And it was great what they did, wasn't it? It was beautiful. They did it live together, Mm-hmm. Day after those guitars are recorded together. That's why it took so long, because there's little pitches that happen on slide guitar, and they played it with regular tuning as well. Mm-hmm. The guitars weren't tuned to chords or nothing, except for that first, to tune it down to D. Really makes a big difference. But anyway, I took that guitar and without thinking about it, I sold it. And I sold it for like $100 or something, $200, There's an old friend that threw it up in the air at, I think, O'Keefe Centre in Toronto. I broke a string at the end of the solo. It was like a jam, and we were wailing away, and I was having a great time, and a string broke. And I took the guitar and threw it up into the lights, and it was boosh, and it came down, and it kind of folded up, and all the springs jumped out and everything. And the roadie actually went back. Fergie got all the bits and put it all back together at the end of the show. But it split the body a little bit. It was never the same, really. Anyway, I got rid of it. And I never thought that it's the guitar that George Harrison played, on day after day, It's just weird, because we didn't think of these things in those days. They sold that guitar that George gave the band for $750,000.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Could have bought myself a house, couldn't I, if I would have kept that Strat, So, really amazing.
Does the person you sold it to know its involvement on that song and the George played?
Oh, yeah, but he probably did. Probably broke it to pieces and put new pickups in it and did all this stuff to it, like too. But no, he didn't know that. I don't believe so. Same with the acoustic guitar I played on Bangladesh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bangladesh, what was it like for you to play at that show? And was there ever a chance that Badfinger would get to do a song? It was always a shame that they had a few hits by then. So
we had, and I think Baby Blue was actually in the charts at the time, but it never even came up. And Badfinger certainly never. We never had the ego. Not even one of us had the ego where we would go to George and say, "Hey, can we do one of our songs?" We would never have done it. We had George Harrison there, Leon Russell was there, Billy Preston was there, Eric Clapton was there. All these. There were great songwriters in the lineup of the backup singers. There were great people at that concert. Also, incredible play. And so we always felt like we were the bottom of the deck, if you like. We were the kids. We were just learning what we were doing, and we'd had a couple of hits, but so what? We did the best we could, but we never really thought it was good enough. We did the best vocals we did, but when we listened to them, we heard the faults rather than the good bits, and that's just the way we dealt with what was happening with us. That's just how the band was. We were all right. We did. When I listened to when I first heard the BBC tapes, I was knocked out. When I heard the Better Days film, the Sets of Six film. And we do Better Days, and we just nail it. And it's incredible to hear that nowadays, because you never hear it on stage. You can't hear yourself, Mm-hmm. You enjoy yourself, or, you don't enjoy yourself. That's about it when you're doing a show. Mm-hmm. Or somebody else does something stupid, but it was incredible to hear it still. Right.
Is it possible that even back then you didn't realize how great the band really was?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. We never thought the band was great. We thought we were good. We thought we were, we were real good, and we liked we liked the songs we wrote, and we only took the songs that we thought were the best songs we had. We didn't keep any. Tommy didn't keep songs for himself, to do on some solo project. And we had budgets. When we signed with Warner's, they gave us all budgets to do, I think, 4 solo records each. None of us did a solo record. That tells you where the band was at, right?
Yeah.
That tells you where the band was at. They gave us the money. We had the money to do it. Never did. Didn't even care. It just wasn't in the makeup of the band. We didn't think like that. It's great. We enjoyed ourselves, believe me. We were playing Carnegie Hall, things like that. People talking about us saying, boy, these guys are great. Rolling Stone said these guys are like the Beatles, and what the Beatles would be like if they got their shit together. That's a quote from Rolling Stone. Well,
that's quite a compliment.
Yeah. I mean, I think these guys are stupid. You know what I mean?
Has there been any talk about putting out some unreleased stuff, Joey? Maybe some of the live BBC stuff, or
I don't even know. I don't even know if there is unreleased stuff, because I've never been brought privy into that. I'm never into that. They've never phoned me up and say, "Hey, Joe, we've got these." I went to Apple once, and they told me that they were going to release it when the new managers came in to Apple. They went through the Badfinger catalogue, of course, and they realised that Joey Molland wrote more than half of the music. More than half of the songs were my songs, and they thought, well, this is bloody ridiculous, because everybody thinks that Peter wrote all the songs, and that Pete and Tommy was some kind of magical collaborative team. Well, they weren't. I think they wrote like 3 songs together. 3 songs. Come on. The stories that people make up about the band to make the story work that they're telling, it's the bullshit artists, aren't they? Anyway, Apple decided that they were going to do the Joey Molland album with just my songs on it. And I've got the album here. And they said that the reason that they didn't put it out, was the Beatles decided they were going to do the anthology. And of course, it's the Beatles label, And if they decide they're going to do something, that's what happens. So my album, and it's okay, it's not the end of the world by any means. My album was shelved and put away and forgotten about. And they told me about it in, I don't know, when I went over and I went to the Cavendish, office to meet the people there. It was really sweet, really nice to me. Well, what I was impressed with going to that office, and I know I'm going to get an aside here, but it was, they've got the Beatles first poster there. They've got the thing, things like that on the wall when you're walking in. Like where it's 3 shillings to get in and stuff like that. And the American tours, where it's just fantastic. All the way up to, the Sgt. Pepper prints and, the Magical Mystery Tour covers, all of that stuff. They've just got it all. And that's the magic of it for me. When I go in there, you sit at the table and, it's like, wow,
We're running close to the end of our time, but your talk about the album, the Joey Molland album, it has me intrigued. And I just want to ask a quick question: is that all stuff from when were those tracks recorded, Joey? Early '70s.
It's all stuff. It's taken from stuff I did with the Badfinger band.
Okay.
It's just Joey Molland songs.
Okay.
And there are a few kind of like "Do You Mind?" I think is on there. There's a few things like that, but it's not. I don't think it's stuff that you haven't heard. There might be different mixes.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what it was, and I think I was made up. It was really kind of an honour to have these guys sit there and tell me that they thought that my material was good enough to actually bother with. Because really, I do my songs on stage, and then people come up and say, "Boy, I like that tune," whatever. But because of the way it's been over the years, it's all about Pete and Tommy, and it has been about them. And of course, I make sure that I talk about those guys on stage, and make no mistake that it's this is a Peter Ham song here, and thanks, Pete. Well done. Anyway, that's just the way it was, and just the way it is. And it's all good.
Thank you very much, Joey. This has been a lot of fun. It's been great, and the information I mean the stories you told and everything are really wonderful. So I thank you very much for being with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's great to talk about it.
And good luck with the tour. And everybody can go to, what's the name of your website?
Badfingersite.com.
Okay. Everybody, and if you want information on the tour, go to badfingersite.com. Again, thank you. You can get a hold of the show by writing to Things We Said Today Radio Show at gmail.com. We have a Things We Said Today Beatles Radio Fans page on Facebook. We each have individual pages on Facebook. My email address is BeatlesExaminer@gmail.com. Ken and Alan, quickly give your contact information so we can get out of here. Ken, go first, Ken.
My email address is everylittlething@att.net, and my website, kenmichaelsradio.com.
Alan?
You can reach me easiest at Facebook, either at Alan Kozin or Alan Kozin Remixed. That's it.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Joey.
I'd like to say thank you to you guys, Ken, and everybody. I know you guys. I've met you all over the years. It's great what you do, and the way you talk about the music, the love you put into it. It's really great. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Joey. Thanks again to Joey Molland for being with us. For Ken Michaels and Alan Kozin, this is Steve Marinucci for Things We Said Today, saying thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.